hold on.
Oh, good God. So now we've got to talk for 5 minutes or so to get the intro to this one. Hey, girl.
Okay.
So everybody who's just now listened to this, we just finished our previous podcast.
Yeah.
And now we're switching over to this podcast.
Good afternoon, Miss Mims.
Hi, Auntie Maim Noire.
Hello. You know, you don't have to say the Noire part. That's only my married name.
Oh, that's your married name? What?
So before, okay, so that's really funny, right? So before we jump too much into the podcast, I'll explain the Noire part of my name. That's very weird.
Oh, God.
Obviously, I am a drag queen that's obsessed with all things like old Hollywood, as we already know. So
Your
Auntie
married name, God.
So Auntie Maim is for the audience that doesn't know, it's based on an old movie from the 1950s that I was obsessed with. And so when it got time for me to actually like create a platform in terms of like social media and all of this stuff, I could not find anybody. I couldn't find a way to do my name that it kept being taken by other people. Whether it be like, I don't even know how anybody else had the idea to have their name like mine, but whatever. So I decided to create a married name, which was Auntie Maim Noire. And Auntie Maim Noire is actually still inspired by old Hollywood. And I'm going to tell you why, right? I know this sounds crazy.
Noir films?
Two reasons,
Okay.
right? You ready?
So I'm put on some eye makeup while you're talking about
right?
this.
So the noir is inspired by two things. Number one, my favorite genre of old Hollywood are film noirs. And secondly, because it's inspired by Shirley Temple, because when she got married, her name became Shirley Temple Black.
Oh, it did, didn't it?
So that's where, like, my love of all things old Hollywood, that's where it came from. So my formal name, if you call it that, my married name is Shirley Temple Black. Also, I'm black.
Kind of a medium brown, but here we are.
Listen up. So anyway... For you designing women podcast listeners, there's a little bit of bio about one of your hosts.
So I would like to segue just a little bit, that we have gotten listeners from new countries now. And I would like to say salam to Indonesia.
Yes.
Privyet to Russia. And hello, Netherlands.
Oh, the Netherlands. Oh, I love your drag, Netherlands. I love it. Send us some wooden shoes. We would love those. I would gladly wear the wooden clogs in a performance.
She would. She would. It would be highly embarrassing, and I would love every minute of it.
I would do it.
I remember... So back in our high school days, we had a social studies English history teacher, who shared the name of a black civil rights leader. Yes. I remember him saying one thing about how we should never go to war with Greece because we should never fight a group of men who can fight in skirts and wooden clogs. Mildly homophobic, mildly not. He was a huge Democrat either way.
Mildly homophobic, you know.
But
it's the South.
But speaking about that, let's move to something even more uncomfortable.
Boy, episode 3. Holy crap.
Let's talk about a big affair.
I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. And that's Marjorie. Just so you will know, and your children will someday know, is the night the lights went out in Georgia. The lights went out. The lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out. And that is the night. The lights went out in Georgia.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Well, now you do.
Yes, October 20th, 1986. I was not prepared for this episode. I mildly remembered it, but I was not prepared for it.
So I'm watching these episodes with my husband, and this one was trying. He's never seen Designing Women before, so I had to remind him we are still in the first season of an 80s sitcom. And then he said, but the night the lights went out, Georgia's already happened. I was like, I know. It will get better.
I mean, it's not. Well, the thing is that like, the thing is that it wasn't a bad episode so much as it was like, what are we doing? Like we'll
get to it. We'll get to it. So we go through the title screen, and Meshach Taylor's still nowhere to be found.
Still no Meshach Taylor.
So we're at Sugar Baker's.
Yes.
And Charlene's on the phone with the fraternity.
That stupid frat.
And they have no money, and she loans them money and wants money back in 30 days.
Wait. Hold on.
Okay.
We are not going to skip that one joke.
Okay.
The slave week joke.
Oh God. So they have a slave week that they didn't make any money from, and she's like, "Well, I wouldn't think you would. The black boys would be too comfortable with that."
Right. Like what? Like what? Huh? What?
Well, I
remember, then we're not even done with the jokes about them, because then later we find out, 3 of their members came from ... Ethiopia.
Yes, God. And then even later you see them, and there's only one black kid in there. But whatever.
Like, what's happening?
Whatever. Charlene loans them money.
Yeah, they remind her of her brother.
Yes. And then we cut the commercial.
Yes, that was a weird commercial break.
I'm wondering if these first commercials are actually where the theme is supposed to go. Because I think it used to be a cold open. Theme.
No, I don't.
Oh,
think
was it not? Okay.
No, it's just that the theme took so long that's why they had to insert the commercial so soon, because the theme song took so long.
God.
Now,
so
I think that one of my things, I think one of the best lines in this one is when Charlene is talking about when she was a child, and because Julia makes that thing, well, if you're old enough to order, you're old enough to pay. And Charlene goes in her little rant about ordering from the Montgomery Ward catalog, and then they were like, what's that face you're making?
Aren't you skipping ahead like 2 and 3 pages?
No,
this is all pre-commercial.
No, this was right after the commercial break.
No, Suzanne, you have missed Suzanne coming in.
Oh, was that after Suzanne came in?
I think so.
I don't think so, because I think that's when Julia's talking about, because I have on here. Because no, Suzanne comes in after this, because that's when they talk about, I have my notes here. So
I do too.
So that's when Charlene, she talks about ordering from the Montgomery Ward catalog, and then Julia said, "Charlene, I'm so surprised. You're always such a mature person." And Maryjo said, and she says, "Well, there was this person in my class, and they used to get on my nerves all the time."
Oh, that's right.
Right? And then Maryjo's like, "I totally understand." And then Julia makes the best line where she says, "Sometimes it frightens me that you two have actually found each other." I think that's amazing. That spoke to our relationship so much.
It's true. So maybe it's just because I didn't think any of that was funny.
Oh,
so I'm gonna admit one more time. I know at the very end of this episode we're going to talk about whether we like this episode or not. You may have a hint.
Wow.
by that comment.
Wow. No, but I mean, so then we have Suzanne coming in, and this is such an 80s
She does
thing.
not know how to fill her gas tank.
That is
and
such an 80s thing, by the way.
She paid a quarter to a family to pay it for her.
Now, let me tell you a little side story, right?
Uh-huh.
So my very first relationship, it was awful. However, one of the benefits was his family, and he actually had an aunt that, even in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, she still went to the one place in Danville, Virginia that didn't have self-service because she refused to pump her own gas.
My mother would love to do that still. If she had a not self-service to where she could just tip somebody to pay to do it. Well, you know, in New Jersey, it's gas stations are unionized. So
what?
you have to pay somebody to fill your gas tank.
What?
Yeah.
That's okay.
There is no self-service in New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Pay everyone a living wage, everyone.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the show.
So she gives them a nickel, and she's very upset because the woman just gave her the bird. And Julia has one of my favorite lines in this. Let us not criticize until we walk a mile in those pumps.
Yes. I didn't even write that one down because I knew you were going to.
So, and then we also find out that Suzanne's old housekeeper is gone because she's hemorrhaging.
You caught that too, right? I was like, wait, what? Like, what? That's they say it in so passing. I was like,
what? What hemorrhaging?
Yeah, I was like, that's a pretty major thing.
And so then we find out she's having a party with a new housekeeper from one of those small countries that always has trouble.
Yes. I wrote that down too. I was like, there's so many problematic lines in this episode.
Now, her and Julia are going back and forth with being real rich white Southerners talking about how hard it is to find help, etc., etc., etc. Again, I didn't write a lot of that down because it made me uncomfortable to even think about.
I had the same feeling. I was like, oh wait. I was like, we just had like 2 episodes of likability that just got obliterated.
Yes. It's like we're watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And he went, obliterate.
Right. Yeah, I was having that same feeling. I was like, are these supposed to be likable characters still? Because they're not.
And then, so Suzanne goes over to Charlene. And it's like, hey, Charlene, I'm going to set you up with Mason Dodd.
Mason Dodd.
And Mason comes in immediately, and he's played by Walter Olkowitz. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And he's most known for Grace Under Fire.
Oh, I forgot about that show.
Yeah, it's on here too. We can review that one day if you know. Okay. Thank you.
I don't want to rewatch it. I just forgot about it. I probably forgot about it on purpose. I mean, to be very honest, like, if we pause for a second, let's be very honest.
Uh-huh.
Being a person that was raised in, like, a African-American leaning household, even though we're more than one race, we just did not particularly like blue-collar comedy-based shows. Like, my mom, none of them. She didn't like any of them. Like, they served no purpose to her because she was just like, I don't care about this. Like, you know, so, I mean, that was how Grace Under Fire was as well. I remember we tried to watch it, and my mom was just like, no, thank you.
What about Roseanne?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
If you can't tell right now, Auntie Maim Noire is putting on some lip
I'm
gloss.
just putting on some lip gloss. That's all.
It's popping, girl.
My lips were drying out.
Okay, so there's a problem. There's a problem with Mason. He's fat.
He's fat, America. He's fat. And
America, he's not that fat.
America,
he's got some jaws, but
America,
he's not that fat.
He was fat for the 80s.
America, he was not that fat for the 80s.
No,
America was fat
funny.
in the 80s.
I'm being funny right
I know.
now. Right? Like, he was overweight. He was hefty. But, honestly, they talk about it in this episode like it was my 600-pound story. Like
he's going to keel over with a heart attack right there.
Like he needs a scaffold to like get him out of his house to go get him liposuction.
I mean, let's keep going. So Suzanne forces them on a lunch. Charlene, says she's got too much. They get to the lunch and Charlene says she's going to cancel, but she's very enamored because his card has a fat joke on it. This says something like, "Help, I've been eaten by a fat guy."
Yes. So this is the point in the episode where I'm trying my best to figure out where I'm supposed to stand on this episode. I'm like, I don't understand in terms of like, is the show making fun of fat people at this point?
So I think I'll tell my opinion at the end. I will save my opinion till the end.
Okay.
Because I think this is opinion at the end.
Okay.
So we go to the next day.
Back to the fraternity.
Yes. And Maryjo is now on the phone with them.
Yep.
And they've attempted to return the couches.
They left the couches in the alley behind the store.
Which, how did no one notice this? There's no alley from what we see it's a palatial estate. Dare I say a plantation.
So, hush now. Please, let's not go down that route. No. So, I think what happened is that it came from a store, right? Like an actual store, not their store. Like, not their location. I think it came from an actual store. Right. And they dropped it off, but apparently there was vomit all over it.
No, I thought it was part of what they were designing, so they bought it through them. That's what I took it.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So they were trying to return it back to them without paying.
Which is really weird.
After it was thrown up on.
After it was disgustingly damaged, apparently. Now, this is the part that was really funny to me is, because, obviously you can see where this joke is going, right? Maryjo, she feels so bad that she's like, I'm going to send you guys some money so you can put it toward the couch. And then Julia is like, let me talk to him. It's like in her firm way. And I love the little moment of like his parents having the car accident, because as we learn in this episode, it's kind of like we get to the point where we're like, are any of the things actually true that he keeps saying about his life? Because a lot of it sounds just like BS, but they never confirm nor deny that they find that out for sure.
Right. Like his parents died in a car accident. He's saving up for his brother's prosthesis.
Yes.
And three of the people were from Ethiopia in there. Which, if they can afford...
I don't want to go into that, because that didn't even make sense. How are three students from Ethiopia over in your fraternity at this point?
And my guess is they're in Atlanta, which means it's probably Emory, which probably means it's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now let's continue.
Mind you, we're just episode 3, right? They're not. They're.
Oh yeah, I know. But you can sort of see why CBS was like, let's try to find a different time slot. So Julia shoos Maryjo away, and she's like, look, I'm going to split up your payments into 4. They're going to be with interest. But you're going to get a check from me for the first one, and you're going to send it straight to Charlene. And yeah, so she ends up giving the money too. And then she said that, oh, you're going to pay me back after your carnival. Well, in my day, the big thing was a kissing booth.
Yes.
And kissing
oh, that's passé now.
Uh-huh.
It's like, wait, what?
And then I did you catch the what was this line about the other booth they want to set up? I don't think that's appropriate.
I don't think that's an appropriate booth for such an occasion. I was like,
yeah, maybe a little, I don't know. Which looked really gross with my Katya Red Scare lipstick on. The most fantastic lipstick. Get it at Trixie Cosmetics when it comes back. Anyway. Charlene comes back in. She just had lunch with Mason. She really likes him. But wait. He's fat.
He's fat, America. Again, we're reminded.
He's fat. Charlene can't handle it. And we go to commercial.
Wait! Before we go to commercial, let's not forget the moment where she's like, "I'm so happy," as she's literally dissolving into tears.
Oh yeah. Like this is the happiest I've ever been.
My brain is literally like, because once again, this is supposed to be the most likable character on the show, and she is now being like quite terrible.
So I would also like to throw in right here, Jean Smart is 5'9", so my height normally. In heels, she's probably close to 6. Because she wears 3 4-inch heels. Those are some fucking stilettos. Excuse my language, America. I get one. Let me just tell you, that height in the 80s wasn't popular either.
Nope.
She is not a dainty little woman with big boobs.
Nope.
This episode. So, we go to commercial, and we're back, and Charlene is embarrassed because he makes a lot of fat jokes, and that he's fat. So she's just embarrassed.
It's both. It's like, it's not just that he's fat. It's that he literally, like, they're not good jokes, by the way. They're not, they're not, like, hilarious, like, oh, you're really taking yourself down. No. They are basically like self-abusive jokes.
Yes.
About himself.
Yes. So, Charlene then asks Maryjo and Julia if they've ever dated a fat person.
Oh, this line.
They both say
God.
no.
Oh.
And then Julia says, I did ride an elephant once at the Kenya Club. I'm like, I related to that line because I have said some things like from brain to mouth, or from heart to mouth without thinking about them before. But he's not that fat.
No, he's not. Like, so in my head, so this is, I mean, obviously now we're in a different time period of America and the world where fat has changed a lot, right? In terms of how we talk about like weight, how we talk about body image, how we do everything like that. Right. And the thing that's so crazy to me is like none of them, not a single one of the 4 of the women, none of them were body positive. Like none of them. And that's it. I think for me, like that's the thing that kept hitting my head like the hardest is like, you know, normally like, well, a great idea, right? So this is something that happens in improv. We call it an A-B conversation, right? So you got one opinion, you got a second opinion. Those are your 2 characters.
Yep.
The third person, when they come in, they are either going to double down on A or double down on B and make it unbalanced, right? Which is where the comedy comes from.
Right.
There's no A and B.
No.
There's just, it's all A. It's all, he's fat, that's a problem. He's fat, that's a problem. So I was like, that's where I feel like some of the lack of comedy came from, is because the whole thing was just more kind of abusive.
So I'm looking at the most popular sitcoms of 1986.
Okay.
And there really weren't that many fat people on television.
Well, I tried to tell you that earlier. That wasn't,
so,
we didn't start getting into that until like the mid 90s, right? Like that's when I mean, and actually technically they got really prominent in the 2000s, right? Because that's when King of Queens came out, and that's when, you know, it became not as big a deal.
The one exception that I can find, and he's probably bigger than this dude proportionately, is George Wendt as Norm in
Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, Bull from
Bull wasn't fat.
He wasn't fat. He was stocky.
He was
but
stocky.
This dude, I'm still. I don't know if he's actually fat or if he's just wearing. He's just got those jowls that they dressed him fat.
No,
like
I'll tell you what. No, it's not that. I can give it to you in better terms, right? So
Okay.
he is plus size, but the reason that he is, I don't like using the word
he has
fat.
to shop at Lake Bryant.
Oh, I hate using the word fat, right? So he is plus size, but what it is, and I don't know this
Dress
guy's,
Barn Plus.
I hate you. I don't know what this guy's background is, but I'm almost certain that he probably played football,
Yeah.
right? Which made him broader, and so that's what makes him look much larger than probably he actually is because it's it's just like the muscle bears, right? That we're used to. If you put clothes on them, they look very different than they do like when they were like shirtless.
Well, Charlene has decided she's going to break up with him. Why? Because he's fat.
Because he's fat.
So Suzanne then comes in and introduces her new maid. Like introduces, I mean, like speaks about her because you never see her throughout the entire show.
We never see Consuela.
Consuela, who is learned a like. There's lots of racism going on. Let's.
So much racism. Oh my!
She can't start because her animals can't start immediately because her animals are in quarantine from getting off the boat. Julia says something like, "Well, that's the oldest excuse in the book." I couldn't tell whether that line was supposed to be a dig at Suzanne or not. It didn't come off as one.
No,
but
it came off as genuine.
Right, but like.
And also, I didn't understand the line where she talked about the Consuela's brother being a meat packer. Like, I thought I was like, so wait, Consuela's brother lives in Atlanta also? Or like, what is that? I mean, if she's just coming from like a third world country, like that's rather coincidental that she's coming here and the agency got her here and is once again. I a lot of times I felt like in this episode, their jokes themselves were at the expense of making sense, right? Yeah. Like it just didn't make sense.
So Maryjo and Julia gang up on Suzanne for setting her up.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charlene's like, I guess we miss it because she says, fine, I'll go to dinner. Like, they don't actually resolve it, but we go to Suzanne's and she's at the dinner.
Yeah,
right?
No, there is a point where she actually says, fine, I'll do it. Right? But that's also in the same area where she calls Suzanne an interior designing pimp.
Yeah. So now we're at Suzanne's, who, for being as rich as she is, her house is not that great.
No, I was really surprised.
Yeah.
Like, they could have done better with the set for that.
We're at the dinner. Maryjo is tipsy. They're talking about like Southern ladies and how they're seen differently throughout. But before you say something about this, I have a question for you.
Okay, sure.
Who's the man that's beside Maryjo? He's there.
He's not. I mean, he's not there with Maryjo. I don't think. I think he's there. Well, no, actually, no. Apparently, I don't actually know because I was gonna say he's not there with Maryjo. But then later, when we were out on the balcony or on the thing, like he's not with Suzanne. So
he's just sort of in the background creeping.
He's just
like
sort of there.
Why did they need an extra?
I guess to make it. I guess they needed the extra so that it didn't look awkward with Charlene having the only male at the dinner party. So maybe we're just supposed to assume he's just like another friend of Charlene or somebody's. I don't know.
Maybe he's got a homosexual name. We'll get to that later.
Episode 4.
But Maryjo's tipsy, and her and Charlene are going back and forth talking about how Southern people are always portrayed like sexed up people and how they're stupid, blah, 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 blah. It didn't really seem to fit in because you know what? Southerners don't really talk about whenever there's not a Northerner in the room, how the South is portrayed. We're just getting drunk and then we're having lots of sex because we are sexed up crazy people.
I mean, I would never know. I was never party to this conversation since everybody thought I was an undercover Yankee.
See, there you go. But we did have the conversations with you about why the South will rise again.
Right, exactly. So,
I did. And speaking of this, just a little aside. During the inauguration, one of my coworkers came up to me and said, "If the South will rise again, and this is how it's rising, I need to leave." So, Consuela has started screaming boo at Suzanne and scaring her. So she's offset or on set, grabs a dish, turns around, goes through this door, which is the cheapest piece of set I've ever seen. And all of a sudden you hear somebody with a bad Spanish accent behind going, "Boo!" And like, she drops the plate, starts screaming at her.
I thought she sounded more like Romanian.
Yeah. But she's from one of those small countries that have a lot of issues.
It could be anywhere. This is also when he does another fat joke about the soup. Remember the gazpacho?
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh, you don't have a bowl." He's like, "It's okay. I'll just take it from here. I'm used to using a trough." And I was like, "Who makes that joke about themselves?" Like,
that joke is only appropriate if you're at Golden Corral.
Like that. God, this guy.
Yeah, and it's like 9:15, and they're starving. Suzanne's been threatened with a knife by Consuela. It was a small knife. So Charlene and Mason go to have a talk.
Yes, the talk.
So Charlene is like, "Why do you always say such embarrassing things about yourself?" It turns it all about her, right? It's like, "What? Do you know how that makes me feel?" And Mason says, "Well, I don't think we can date because you're poor and you're stupid." I feel like he should say C-U-N-T in there, but I apologize to our dear listeners. If you don't know what that word means, I didn't say it. I did spell it. You can Google it.
See you next Tuesday.
Where was I at with this mess? And like, he's doing it. He's just and then he says, no. Do you see how much that hurts when you do that to me? And she gets very upset.
But this is okay. Let's stop here for a minute, though, right?
Yeah, let's do.
This is the part that makes literally no sense. He turns it around on her, but literally the whole episode has just been him making fat jokes about himself.
Yeah.
So I was so confused by this because. So you do care that you're fat? Like, you do care that people are judging you because of your fatness and all? Like, okay, so maybe you should probably stop making jokes about yourself? Like, because it sounded like based on every time Charlene went out on a date with him, like, that's all he did all the date is make fun of his weight.
So, I'll keep my analysis for the end. We don't have much more of the schlong to get through.
When Charlene almost said, "Get down on your hands and knees," I was done. I was like, wait a minute.
Like,
crap.
The thing is, if he is as rich as he says, he could. I think our past president shows that he could have. That's about his size. There you go. He's about the same size as Donald Trump.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, Donald Trump's fat, but he's not like
grossly obese.
Exactly. According to his doctors, he's in perfect health and can run 10 miles.
Yes. In his mind. But you know, here's the thing, right? Is like, this is just a very, obviously, everybody listening, this is a very disjointed episode, right?
Yeah.
Like, things don't make sense. The logic paths of like conversations don't make sense, and all of that is, I think, I think it's summed up well by how this episode ends.
Yes.
Right? Because Mason and Charlene, they're going to continue to work out their differences together.
They kiss, and he wants to bone her.
They kiss. Oh, by the way, remember earlier in the episode where she's like, I can't get my hands around him. And she got her hands around him and kissed him.
Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
And this is when it's, what was it, 10 o'clock at this point when the flowers arrive?
Yes, it was.
Really?
The flowers arrive, and Suzanne's like, I'm not used to getting flowers this late. And then you hear singing outside, and apparently the frat is outside, has brought them all their money because they're using, the other people's, all their money combined, has paid them back, and they're outside singing at them. And like they're all just standing there in this glow of happiness as these 8 or 10 uncomfortable people sing at them. Only one black person, no 3 Ethiopians.
There was an Asian guy too.
There was an Asian guy. Yes, Asians are not Ethiopian. I mean, they can be. I'm not going to say they're not, but they can be.
But, there was a point at which you can tell that I actually there was one clever line in there. I forgot to write it down, but there was one clever line where Suzanne basically intimates also that she also gave them money.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was just like, did they all give them money at this point?
Oh, I feel like Suzanne just paid the whole thing. But that's the way I took it. Like,
I wouldn't be
she's
surprised.
like, this is all for me.
Yep.
And she's like,
Suzanne.
Yeah, like, I just feel like she paid all. But then when she said, but I don't recognize any of them, I was like, that's interesting. Yeah.
I didn't get that. I mean, I got it, but I didn't get it. I was like, are we?
Yeah, like Walter just sent the lower levels, like the frat pledges, maybe. Or maybe she screwed some of them. I don't know.
There was it's just a lot of open-ended things in this episode that made it a little crazy.
Hi, Divine Miss Mims here. If you're enjoying this nonsense, you can follow us at MrMahaffey on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and drop us a line in our DMs. Also, to our Patreon supporters, thank you. We couldn't do this without you. So, we have 2 things to get through. I don't know. Did you find yourself a Miss Georgia World like I asked? I did. I found, like, I'm looking through each episode and finding my favorite outfit. I'm calling it Miss Georgia World.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to join me.
Okay.
So my Miss Georgia World this time was Suzanne's look with the blue and black checks and the black skirt. Oh. I love it. It was fantastic.
I actually hated everybody's clothes in this episode. I wasn't taking note for the Miss Georgia World, but I was just kind of like, it was just like a lot of satin, satin everywhere.
Well, your Miss Georgia World could be his jowls. My
Miss Georgia World for this episode would be Consuela, because
you didn't see her,
because you didn't get to see her, but boy, she sounds like she's gonna be a good time.
So, did you like this episode?
I don't know.
Give me your brief analysis, and I will tell you whether I liked it, and I will give you my brief analysis.
I just didn't like. You know me. Even with comedy, I like a logic path, and it just made no sense. None of it made sense. Like, none of the directions made sense of where the storylines were headed or where the character development headed. Like, there was no character development. Charlene never technically apologized for the way that she's been acting at the end of it. And for me, like, that was what I was looking for. I was like, hey, is she even gonna like kind of have some remorse? And no, she doesn't have remorse. She just has like, oh, okay, let's work it out. What? So yeah, for me, no, I was not a fan of this episode. Thank goodness for the next one.
So I will give my analysis finally. I think this episode, what makes it even worse was it was well-intentioned and poorly written. I think they were trying to come off as not that he's fat, but that that Charlene was supposed to come to a catharsis, and it was supposed to be, hey, it's not the fact that you're fat that bothers me, it's the fact that you're so down on yourself that bothers me. I think it was trying to be progressive. I think that if Linda Bloodworth Thompson wrote this, she should have burned the script. This feels like a failed pilot. This feels like something that is very disjointed. I did not like this episode whatsoever. I cannot find a redeeming... Yeah, I do have one redeeming little glimmer when Dixie Carter has to say the line about the elephant. You see this look in her eyes like, what the hell have I just said? So for that, I still don't like it. I think that Suzanne probably had the best episode out of everybody because she's at least consistent with her character.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Suzanne, if you remember, right? Suzanne is actually the only one that she's not positive, but she's the only one that's neutral about his appearance.
Right.
She never brings it up. She never talks about it. She's just like, what's the big deal? Like, yes, it's because he's very rich. Yeah. But like that, it's sad to say that like she came off as the best character this week because the rest of them were so terrible.
Actually, the best character may have been that guy. Whoever he was.
The random dinner party guy.
The random dinner party guy who's just sitting there like, why am I in this episode? Is it because he's so much thinner than Mason? So you get like a visual comparison of, oh no, he's fat.
And the Emmy for best guest appearance in a sitcom variety show goes to Guy at Table with No Lines for Designing Women.
Yay! Like he did not even get in the union for it. He got no lines. You got to say something on the screen to fill your union.
Not even a reaction shot, right?
No.
Like, not even like when Mason made the line about the trough. If he had been drinking water and just said, "Oh my God," like something like that.
Union.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay, gonna get sagged that way, baby.
Future Cable Ace Award winner.
That guy. Oh God. So next week we have a new episode.
This is one of my favorite episodes, by the way. It really is.
It's called Julia's Son.
Yep. Oh.
So y'all join us again next week. We apologize for missing you last week.
We did. I'm so sad. I'm sorry, America. I got sick. I'm so sorry.
He's much better. She's much better now.
Russia, Indonesia. What were the other places?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands. So I'm very sorry. What we're going to do is we're going to just put me on an IV drip from now on. So every time I get sick, we won't be missing these anymore.
Or what we may just do is record 2 of these in a row. That way I'll always have one in the bank.
Yeah, just in case. in case you don't know too much about me, because you are all still getting to know me, I'm what they call a sickly human.
To know her,
getting to know all about my bugs.
Getting to like her.
She can just barely breathe.
Oh, by the way, the worst part about this episode is I'm fat, so I was offended.
That's PHAT in case y'all don't know.
Oh no, it's both. And on that note, girl, I will see you in our next episode.
Yes, thank you for listening to Baking Sugar and Designing Women podcast. If you are listening, Dress Barn Plus, we would like to have your sponsorship. So thank you for listening. We love you all. Have a sweet evening.
Bye. Oh my God. Whew. You okay over there, girl?
Oh, you had me at Dress Barn, honey. I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those episodes.
I hate that one so much.